Hi Queen, welcome back. I haven't been on here in ages, but I wanted to jump on and have a little yap because I am coming to the end of my build phase finally, and I'll be starting prep in the next 4 to 5 weeks. So I am so excited for that. I just wanted to have a little bit of a recap of this build season and my off season before we move into the prep, and then I'll be talking all about that. But I stepped off stage last in October 2024, had a really rough time with my reverse. Yeah, struggled a lot with body dysmorphia, binge eating, and didn't actually sort of like feel good in my own body until probably mid-year 2025. It took a long time for me to mentally adjust after that prep, which is why I knew I couldn't then jump into another prep. I also had a lot of muscle to grow, like competing for the first time. I realized where I sort of fit. I achieved a decent level of conditioning, but I just didn't have the muscular development, especially in the lower body. My upper body was pretty jacked for like a girl that had only been training for a couple of years, but in comparison, my upper body was real jacked and then my lower body really just wasn't. So this off season, we've been focusing on really growing up the glutes, hamstrings and quads, especially to match my upper body to be more competitive for next time. So it was a really tough reverse recovery after my last show, but this time around I know exactly what to expect. So here's what the phases sort of looked like. So I stepped off stage in 2024 in October. Then I sort of battled for the next few months through my recovery until, January. And at that point, I was up probably 8-9 kilos post show. And I just felt so uncomfortable. Like I had this unrealistic expectation in my mind that I wanted to sit like 4 to 5 kilos up from my stage weight, which in reality, in that last prep, I lost 15 kilos. So I started at 67, I got all the way down to 52 and was tiny. And for whatever reason, when I started the prep, I was like, okay, I would just love that post this prep, for me to maintain around 60, 61. Like that was my goal. And then as more time went on and I got leaner and I got used to being smaller, I was like, no, now it's 58, now it's 56, now it's 55. And it just wasn't realistic, especially because I had so much muscle to grow. To stay that small, I just wasn't going to improve. So with a lot of mucking around, I went, and probably now looking back, I shouldn't have, but I went into a dieting phase at the start, maybe around February, because I just felt so uncomfortable with my body and how it had changed post show. Now, my body didn't really respond to the deficit because it was still short from spending 6 months dieting, and it hadn't had a chance to properly recover. My nutrition wasn't really fully consistent again yet, and it just, mentally I wasn't doing it for the right reasons either. So we went through that, and then my nan passed away in March, and I was just like, right, nope, I'm not trying to diet anymore. And after that, I was like, okay, I need to take this build seriously. If I want to step back on stage next year, which is now this year, I need to build and I really need to lock in. So from there on, Rob and I moved me into a good, decent maintenance then build phase, built my food up until around from March up until July. Then the end of July, I started a little bit of a mini cut because I'd gone from around 61 to around 65 and a half. And I was running my photo shoot challenges on my clients. And naturally, I just wanted to be a little bit leaner for that. So then I dieted for about 10 to 12 weeks and got down to 61 kilos and felt really comfortable there. So I'm pretty confident in my mind, post this next show, 60, 61 kilos is where, again, I want to sit. I'm not going to warp my mind into thinking that 50, 55 is where I want to be long term. And I managed to sort of maintain that 61 really easily as well post my deficit. So went through the deficit phase until September. Then after my photo shoot, we started building my calories back up and my body was insane. It just really responded. I stayed around that 61 kilos for around 2 months, and then Rob really bumped my food up. So we were able to increase food by, I think it was like 800 calories a day or something crazy, and my body weight hadn't moved. So that would indicate things were sitting a lot better this time. So then I had a lot of holidays and trips and things in the middle, but just before I went to Europe at Christmas time, I was back up to around 64. I went to Europe for 3 weeks, ate whatever I wanted, did whatever. And I was still mindful, I tracked, I kept mindful of my protein, still trained, and I came back to Australia 3 weeks later, still at 64 kilos, which was amazing. So I was really happy with that. Then when I got back from Europe, we really cracked into the end of this build phase. So from January to now, we're in March, probably arguably has been the hardest part of the whole last 2 years, because I'm at the point now, I'm eating so much food, I'm on 2,700 calories. For someone that's 162 centimeters, that is a lot of food. I'm not very tall, I'm not really I'm not that big of a person. That is a lot of food. So now we're really pushing it. Rob wants to make another push before we start prep, and it has been a struggle probably since pretty well I locked back in when I got back from Europe and had my routines back again. I have really struggled with actually eating that much food, and how much my weight has sort of bounced up into a part where I'm a bit uncomfortable. At the moment, I'm fluctuating between 66 and 67. So realistically, 5 to 6 kilos more than where I like to sit. And it is freaking hard. Undeniably, there's a lot of muscle growth. I can see it, especially in my lower body, but it doesn't change the fact that my clothes fit differently. I have less confidence in the clothes I'm wearing, going to the gym, doing things, going out, whatever. And that's just like plain honesty. Like that is just how it is. So it has been really challenging this time around, and it was last time as well, but even more so now, because I know why I'm doing it, and I know that there's not long left, but still at the time, you still don't feel great. So it has been really challenging, especially really majority just from January into now has been the hardest sort of 8-week period, because I've seen really push to the upper end of where, like the heavier side of where I've been ever, and it's not fun. So this is the pointy end, but it has to be done. This is what you do. This is what bodybuilders do. This is the reality of being a bodybuilder. You need to put yourself in a calorie surplus in order to maximize muscle growth, which it has worked. I'm so excited for this prep to lock in again, put my all into it once again, but know what to expect and to see the difference between the two physiques from both prep seasons. So I know undeniably that the amount of effort and consistency I've put into the past 2 years, I'm going to beat that last girl. I know it already, but it's just so hard to imagine what it'll look like with the extra muscle growth. So I'm really excited for that. I'm excited for this prep to peel back and see all the hard work that I've put into this. So yeah, you'll see that soon, and I'll keep you updated with the prep and all the things that go along with it. Live, laugh, love.